Hey guys, hope everyone's doing well. Today I'm interviewing a very special person in the tennis world, Daniel Cukierman. He's been called the Israeli king of US college tennis, though others might see him as the overall king of college tennis. He's currently the number one ranked college tennis player in the country, according to the ITA D1 men's singles list, and he plays for USC, the current number one team in the country. He moved here from Israel in 2017, where he was born in Tel Aviv and went on to serve 3 years in the army before coming over to the States. He's reached as high as 525 in the world as a singles player and currently sits at number 803. I really appreciate you coming on.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So I want to start with this. Much like myself, you're a senior in college, which can be a pretty stressful time as we try and figure out what we want to do with the rest of our lives and what the future holds for us. So how are you managing this important time in your life, and what are your plans going forward?
My plans going forward is to play tennis. I'm gonna go pro after the semester, and to be honest, it's nothing much changed in my perspective, because I'm gonna play tennis, continue to practice and play tennis as usual. So in that aspect, nothing changes. I mean, I just leave the US and leave the USC men's tennis team. So that's the big difference.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So when did you start playing tennis?
When I was 6 years old, so almost 20 years ago, 19.
Wow. Did you were you sort of playing with, did you have private coaches? Did you play in academies, or did you sort of start playing with friends?
No, just like a lesson as a first grade. It's not nothing like too serious. And then later on in life, I started to invest more time in it.
Right. There's usually a time where you say, okay, this is something I'm gonna get serious with.
Yeah.
Right. So, many players will train extremely hard to get to a high level, and then others are just super talented naturally and may not have to put in as much work. I'm sure your game has components of hard work and just talent, but could you talk a little bit about the time and effort you put in to get where you are today?
Sure. I mean, for me specifically, my junior career was not very good. I wasn't a good tennis player, I would say. And when I was about 17, I was introduced to Amos Mansdorf, who was 18 in the world at his highest. Very experienced, very has a lot of knowledge in tennis, and he actually taught me how to work hard and how to improve and how to play tennis, pretty much. So I think he's the biggest influencer in my tennis career. And since then, I've been, working really hard. It's not that I didn't work hard before. I just the intensity was different. That's for sure. And since then I've been working like few hours every day, and
That's awesome. At what age did you sort of know that like you wanted to go pro and that was your official goal?
It was always a dream for me, but like I don't know how to explain it. I think Amos made it a reality more. He showed me that you need to work hard to get to your goals. And as a junior, as a young player, I was very it was like a dream, but I wasn't working hard enough for it, I think. So later in life, for me, it was the reality of how much you need to work hard to get to reach those dreams.
Right, absolutely. I'm sure there's so many people saying, I want to be a tennis player when I grow up, but while they're saying that, they're sitting on the couch,
Exactly, yeah.
So absolutely. This kind of ties into my next question, but sort of a two-part question. And I guess you sort of answered the first part, but it was, is there sort of a specific player or a person or a coach that had a special impact on your love for tennis? And then in terms of a pure coaching manner, what's the best coaching tip that you've ever received?
So for sure, the individual would be Amos. He definitely changed my life, I think, in tennis perspective. And the second question was, remind me?
What's the best coaching tip you ever received?
Oh, the coaching tip. I can't point a single one, but I remember I had one practice with Amos, one of our first like individual practices, and I almost puked on the court, and I was like, oh, well, damn, this is like hard. Like, what's going on? I'm not used to it. And he looked at me and like, oh, this is hard for you. Then, it wasn't like something he said. It was like his reaction to, oh, this is hard for you. It's supposed to be like everyday basis training. And I think this is something I learned from him from the first, it's not like something he told me, but like his reaction showed me that, wow, I'm not doing the right thing. And since then, I learned how to work hard, and I think this is the one point in my life that I was like, I need to change my habits.
Mm-hmm. So once you started training incredibly hard, are you at the point now where it feels completely normal, or do you still train to the point every time that you're just completely exhausted and have nothing left to give?
No, definitely it's not the right thing to do to walk every day until you can't, like, you can't walk extremely hard every day till the point that you can't you're gonna puke or something, because this is not the correct training, because you're gonna get injured. You need to have a specific plan of how to develop as a player, and how to train correctly. So I don't think that it's supposed, you need to walk hard, you need to walk smarter than harder. But obviously working hard is part of the weekly workouts you have to have. It depends on the individual, obviously, but if you need 2 hard workouts a week, or you need to have 10 hard workouts a week, it's different for the individual. But I believe more in spending the time on the court. If it's 1 hour, an hour and a half, or 4 hours, sometimes it's better to walk an intense hour and a half than to walk not correctly for 4 hours.
Yeah, quality over quantity, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
So I know you've played a lot of matches in your career. In the juniors, you played on the future level. You played at USC, playing first singles, little second singles. You played some doubles. Is there one specific match you've played in your life that really stands out among the others?
I mean, for sure there's a few. I think the one that my biggest achievement was in Davis Cup. We played Turkey last year in March, and I beat I don't know how to pronounce it, Zemil Kel. He was like 190 in the world.
Wow.
And it was like my third match on clay ever, which was a little bit like throwing me into the deep waters, and I managed to keep the nerves and everything and win this match. So I think this is like my biggest achievement so far. And after that, we won also doubles. Jonathan Ehrlich and I. So for sure, these one are the one I won't forget.
Congratulations! That's an incredible win. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you about when you're in a tennis match and you're down. Like with me, the last tennis match I played as a junior in high school, it was a third set super tiebreak, and I was up 9-2, and I ended up losing the match. And I broke down. Nerves wise, sometimes it gets so tough. So from your perspective, like, what do you usually do when you're losing in a match and you need to turn it around?
Yeah, to be honest, everybody go through it. I went through it. I had a weird, weird path. A couple of months ago, I lost in Davis Cup against Ukraine. I was 6-1, 3-0 up against a guy who, Ilya Malchenko. He was like, I think 50 in the world at his highest. Now he's like 150 or something. And I was 6-1, 3-0 up. And things changed in the match, and I end up losing this match. So I think this is, this influenced a lot on my the next few weeks for sure. I mean, it's Davis Cup. You're so much in the lead, and losing it, it's definitely something that it's hard to overcome. But I learned a lot from this match, and since then I've been working a lot on my mental perspective, and trying to stick to the rituals. I think this is the most important when you are um, having negative thoughts in your mind during the match. I think sticking to your ritual and thinking about simple things like winning the next point is something very important.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, tennis is more mental than most other sports. I mean, you're out there by yourself, for a few hours sometimes. And,
Yeah.
But anyway, I wanted to switch gears a little bit. So, you're from Israel, a country that hasn't produced as many tennis players as, let's say, Spain or France or the US, but, it's an incredibly special place. I've been before, and it was one of the highlights of my life to spend some time there. So, how does coming from Israel influence the way you see yourself as a tennis player, especially being such, on a global scale?
Definitely, Israel is less developed in tennis-wise in many more countries. The US, for example, is a big, like a comparison. I mean, I think although Israel is very small, there is like very special people who knows a lot about tennis. Like I talked about Amos already, but there's many more who are top 30 in the world. So it's for a small country like Israel, it's a big achievement. Although it was many years ago. We had Dudi Sela who managed to get to number 29 in the country in the world, but since like before that, it was a while since we had a really good player. And to be honest, like we don't have someone who can do these shoes. He's someone who no one is close to his achievements right now. But I think Israel is a special place to grow up as an athlete, because we have the army. So it's the 3 years army mandatory is something really important in our professional career. I don't think it's an advantage for an athlete to have that, because obviously you have like limitation with practices, limitation with traveling, and things that can improve you as a tennis player or as an athlete in general. But this is something that as citizens of the country we accept since we are born, and it's just like part of being Israel is to serve in the army, and obviously we take much pride of that. But as an athlete, I think this is a little bit of disadvantage to develop your career as an athlete. Right. So yeah, those are the main special things that I would say about Israel compared to other countries.
Do you think there's anything else about having served in the IDF that sort of contributed to like your abilities as a tennis player, whether mentally or physically?
Yeah, for an athlete in the army, I don't think it's much physically contributes, but mentally definitely, because you mature, you grow up a lot in the army. All your friends are. It just different mentality. I think it's like jumping from high school to deep water, and sorry, and it's just different mentality, because you just grow up so fast during the army from high school. You just become a different person, I think.
So then one more thing about Israel, going back to the Davis Cup that you mentioned, you had the chance to play in 2017. How did it sort of feel to get to represent your country? I know it's something a lot of people dream of being able to do in different sports. How did that feel for you?
Oh, it's amazing. It's the best thing. It's like it was my dream since I was a child over anything, and accomplishing this dream and like being a part of the every year being part of the Davis Cup team is something that I was just dreaming as a kid, and I'm just happy to achieve it. And yeah, I'm more than happy to represent Israel for the next few years.
Last couple questions. What 2 tips would you give to a young tennis player looking to take their game to the next level?
Two key. I think that results are not the thing that's most important as a junior. I think there's a lot of junior that were not a good juniors and accomplished to succeed in the pros, and the opposite as well. Like there's like a multiple number one in the world juniors that were not as successful as other juniors. So I think the most important is to develop your tennis and listen to your coaches and work hard. Those are the three main points I think that any junior player should have.
Absolutely. I think those are great points. And then lastly, I spoke a little bit earlier about, sort of talent and skill and hard work. There are some players, let's say on the tour, you see like Kyrgios, who are just incredibly talented. And, that's just natural talent, a bit of luck that they were able to kind of produce the play that they have, while others just have to grind and work so hard. So, how much of your game do you credit to sort of luck and natural talent versus just hard work?
I wouldn't say I'm like the most talented player. I'm not tall. I'm not super, like hands, like drop shots and stuff like that is not really my tennis. I'm more of a grinder, I would say, aggressive grinder. I would give more to the hard working. Like I'm more of a hard worker type of player than the talented one. I'm not like curious that just can hit every shot from anywhere, hit a winner out of it. Yeah, I think I'm more of the hard worker than the talented player. But obviously, you need to be talented a little bit to be a good player. Every player needs to have that.
I think what hard work matters the most in the end, anyways.
Yeah.
Well, all right. I really appreciate you talking with me. It's been a pleasure.